Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at top 5 hottest motorcycle for 2024. Number 5. Yamaha MT07 Flat Tracker. A good chef can take a refrigerator full of leftovers and turn it into a magical dish. And Jeff Palhage's fridge is full of leftovers, if you'll pardon the metaphor. Jeff's experience as a fabricator and frame builder means he's well versed in the art of building flat-track race bikes. This particular build uses the same template as the MT07 DT, a Yamaha MT07 derived race bike that Estenson Racing has been running in the US flat-track TT Racing Series. Jeff was instrumental in developing the MT07 DT, so he knows the bike inside out. With countless Yamaha MT07 DT flat-track frames already built by his workshop Palhage Design, Jeff decided to gather up leftover parts from 4 different prototypes to put his very own MT07 DT together. A chromoly trellis frame was welded together and then fitted with a 2021 Yamaha MT07 motor. A tubular swing arm sits out back, mounted on an eccentric pivot that offers a full range of adjustability. Carbon fiber bodywork is perched on top, finished with replica Estenson Racing graphics and a saddleman seat. The bike also sports Öhlins suspension, Brembo brakes, Roland Sands design wheels, and a handful of lust-worthy Yamaha racing items. With an abundance of premium parts, Jeff's flat tracker is ready to tear up the nearest TT track, even if racing, it was never his intention. Number 4. Harley-Davidson Pan America. Although many were skeptical about the idea of Harley-Davidson releasing an adventure bike, the HD Pan America was well received when it hit the market. But what no one saw coming was how good it looks when you denude it of its chunky bodywork. This gnarly Pan Am is the work of Chris Schultke, the German firefighter/custom bike builder behind the Moto Crew name. He built it as a collaboration with the aftermarket accessories giant Touratech to showcase the company's suspension offerings. Chris settled on the idea of turning the Pan Am into a flat tracker and got to work. Chris first fabricated a new subframe to accommodate a slimmer seat, then realized that the OEM fuel tank was too big by comparison, so he fabricated a new aluminum fuel cell and then cut and shut the original plastic tank cover to shrink it down, but still retain some of the Pan Am's factory look. Poking out the front of the tank cover is an oversized K&N air filter, mounted on a 3D printed intake. Flat-track specific mods include 19 wheels and a dummy caliper to replace the front brake. A Husqvarna FC450 fender finishes off the tail, with the Harley's original LED taillight mounted underneath it. Plexiglass side covers highlight the custom Touratech suspension, with a cutout for the preload dial. Finished in a frantic livery, Moto Crew's Harley Pan America not only looks bonkers, but also makes 9.9 HP and 12 Nm more than before, and weighs 32 kilos, 70.5 lbs less. Number 3. New E-Concept. Should electric motorcycles conform to traditional motorcycle design norms or tread new ground? This sleek prototype from Vietnam's Nguyen Moto dodges the debate completely by doing a bit of both. Nguyen created the New E as a prototype, a proof of concept for a production bike that they hope to eventually bring to market. Their team is made up of designers and bike builders from Vietnam, Sweden, and the USA, and the mix of influences is clear. Starting with sketches, Nguyen created a CAD rendering, which was then used to 3D print a mock-up of the chassis. It's hard to tell where the CNC machined aluminum chassis ends and where the bodywork begins. Bespoke side panels hide the battery and controller, while 80s turbofan-style rear wheel covers hide the bike's hub motor. Nguyen used a hub motor for this prototype because it served the minimalist vibe that they were after, but the next iteration will likely run with a mid-mounted unit. K-Tech forks and a Triumph Trident wheel sit up front, with a repurposed Yamaha R1 swing arm and an EMC shockout back, connected via custom linkages. Nguyen also specs the NUE, with Swedish-made ISR brakes, clip-on handlebars, and Hooky-Co grips. There's also a quad-lock smartphone mount so that you can use your phone as a speedo. The NUE's finishes are delightfully Scandinavian, with stark aluminum and black surfaces punctuated by sharp blue highlights. The full-length upholstery that runs across the top of the bike is the perfect finishing touch for this neo-futuristic electric prototype. Number 2. Yamaha R9 Concept. We've been waiting forever for Yamaha to pop the MT09's sublime triple-cylinder engine into a sport bike to create an R9, but all they've given us so far is a fully fared version of the XSR 900, the Yamaha XSR 900 GP. While the XSR 900 GP is delightful in its own way, it's unlikely to satisfy sport bike fanatics who want something more purpose-built. London-based fabricator and furniture maker Seb Hipperson has the answer. He got so tired of waiting for Yamaha that he built his own R9 prototype from the ground up. Seb used the cradle from a Yamaha TRX 850 as the foundation for the chassis, which he fleshed out with a Tigi welded steel trellis frame. A set of Ducati Panigale forks with Bitubo internals run up front, with a Ducati 749 swing arm out back, matched to a coarse dynamics linkage and a Mupo race suspension shock. The wheels are 5-spoke alloy hoops from an Aprilia RSV 1000, and the brake calipers are Brembos. Visually, Seb's influences came from the two-stroke GP race bikes of the 90s. The fairing, belly pan, and tail section were all shaped from fiberglass. The tank is a two-piece affair, a fiberglass airbox at the front and an aluminum fuel reservoir at the back. Finished in an extremely well-judged red, white, and black speed block livery, Seb's Yamaha has haunted our dreams since it hit our inbox. The official Yamaha R9 will have some big shoes to fill when it finally breaks cover. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Dyna. It's easy to add stacks of details to a custom motorcycle, but it's hard to do so without making it look cluttered and overblown. This Dyna managed to claim the Best Detail Work title at the esteemed Moon Eyes show at the end of last year. Yet there's no one part on it that screams for attention. It's the work of Takuya Aikawa at Surashot in Chiba, near Tokyo. His forte is building skinny cruisers with a performance vibe, and his accolades include 2 HRCS Best in Show awards. As with most of his bikes, the fabrication work on this 1998 model Harley-Davidson FXD Dyna Superglide could fill volumes. Aikawa-san modified the Dyna's frame with a new oval backbone and redesigned the subframe to taper towards the custom aluminum monoshock swing arm. The front suspension system was built from scratch, and both ends were fitted with Racing Bros shocks. The one-off wheels measure 19 at the front and 18 at the back. The brake discs and rear sprocket all sit on the left side, leaving the wheels empty on the right side. Takuya rebuilt the late 90s V-twin with fresh billet aluminum heads from Speed & Science and fabricated a custom manifold to accommodate a Keihin FCR41 downdraft twin-carb with velocity stacks. A handmade cover ties the stacks to the handmade fuel tank, which traces a line down to the slim tracker-inspired seat. Mounted to the left of the engine is a custom hand shifter that uses a series of connecting rods and CNC machined linkages. Everything has been considered, from the dimpled leather shifter knob cover to the layered spoke patterns that are etched into the wheels. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. If you found it helpful, then make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel for future